I posted on Facebook earlier today that I want to just start a discussion, and it's because I'm fed up. I'm fed up of quietly talking about what my family is struggling with, quietly talking about what everyone around me may be struggling with, and we just don't know. Saturday evening, September 28th, my beautiful, precious daughter swallowed her medications, all of her medications. This landed her in an ambulance, unconscious, with a trip to Hughley Hospital because she is still not medically cleared to be evaluated by behavioral health. The medications had gotten in her system enough by the time she arrived to get medical intervention that they could not administer charcoal or pump her stomach or any of the other things you think they can do without compromising her airway, which meant she could stop breathing. And we didn't want that because then if she's not breathing, her brain doesn't get oxygen and a lot of really nasty things can happen. Here it is, Tuesday, October 1st, and my daughter is alert and awake and she's speaking. And today I asked her permission because I've wanted to do this video probably since Saturday night because I was helpless. There was nothing I could do except to sit with her and watch her heart rate bottom out and her blood pressure go up and then back down and listen to her snore a little and watch as doctors and nurses literally stood over her monitoring her vitals for the last 3 days. What I want to start a discussion about is mental health awareness and to end the stigma. Yes, medical private information diagnoses should be kept quiet, but the fact that so many people I know struggle with mental health issues from anxiety, depression, PTSD, the list goes on, and I'm tired of it being quiet and hush hush and something that people don't want to talk about. And I may be crazy or I'm incredibly brave, but I need my children to know you're not alone. It's not just mom that's got your back. There are so many others out there struggling with the same feelings of worthlessness, or they feel they're a burden, or they just want the pain to stop. So they impulsively do something that is so permanent and that leaves a scar that it may not even become a scar. It leaves a wound that may not ever heal. I was touched by suicide attempts at a very early age. I had a friend in 4th grade who took a significant amount of pills. And at that time, she was able to get medical intervention, and she still lives and breathes today. But she's had a long road and multiple suicide attempts into adulthood. And again in high school, suicide attempts. And I can't even imagine. We didn't have social media. We didn't have cyberbullying. You didn't have people flippantly telling you, just go kill yourself. That happens too many times in too many high schools, in hallways where children are mean. And I know they're children, and I know they may not understand what they're saying, and someone could take that so much to heart. It's too difficult sometimes for children or even adults to get out of bed, to brush your teeth, to take a shower, to want to interact with the world. It taxes them so much physically to just do these basic things that we absolutely, so many of us, take for granted. And yes, you can soldier on. You can fall down and cry But most importantly, I want you to know you can get back up. And if you need help getting back up, call me. I have had anxiety about a lot of things. The craziest thing that happened to me one time, and I don't typically suffer from any sort of panic attack, I drove into the commuter parking lot at Tarleton State University, and I would have sworn I was having a heart attack if I didn't know the symptoms from having helped a friend through a panic attack. It felt like somebody was sitting on my chest. My heart was racing. I was trying to catch my breath. And that day, even though I drove from Grandview clear to Stephenville, I went home. I did as little as possible because that's what I needed to do to help me get through that. And sometimes that's okay. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you do have to get up and take care of those kids and go through the motions. But I don't want you to be afraid to have those discussions with those people who love you, or to say, hey, I'm having a hard time. I need help. Whatever the help may be, we can figure it out. Talk to people. You are not a burden. Those who love you and those whom you interact with on a daily basis and have no idea your struggle, you would be surprised how much the human condition conditions us to help one another. We don't want to know that our coworker is suffering. We don't want to know that one of our teachers is struggling to make it through the day because she has so much else on her plate outside of being in that classroom to teach your student. EMS, firefighters, paramedics, the things they see on a daily basis affects them. They can't unsee the blood on the scene of an accident. They can't unsee the horrifying conditions that children can be left in. They can't unsee it. They can't undo it. They have to learn to cope with it and move forward. And unfortunately, sometimes police officers, paramedics, EMTs, the things they see haunt them too much. They get tired of struggling. They get tired of trying to put it in a box. The box bursts open and they can't take it anymore. And that doesn't just go for those professions. That could go for nursing. That can go for teaching. It can go for just a stay-at-home mom. Sometimes it's too much. But you aren't alone. There are others who struggle, and you should not be afraid to ask for therapy, for medications, whether it be short-term or long-term. If you do one-on-one therapy, if you go to group therapy, talking helps. If you have a trusted friend or pastor or family member, it's hard, I know, because these are the nitty-gritty, icky, messy details of our lives that sometimes get us down, that make us snap. Some of the silliest things my kids have done in 24 years have been the ones that I lose my mind about, because it's like, can you just stop? Just for a minute, stop. And they don't understand. And then I have to back up and go, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm having a difficult time today, and it's not your fault. What I've been through, what I've struggled with, what my children have struggled with, I am fed up to hear with the conversations being quiet, with people behaving as though it's shameful, asking for help to cope with this life, with this world that we live in, with the things that we see, is not weakness. We are meant to live together. We are meant to do things together. And that's the way it should be. There shouldn't be shame in asking for that help. And if you need medication to help you get through the day, there's nothing wrong with that either. If you need to talk to somebody on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, to help you figure out how to compartmentalize these things that you see, these things that you deal with, the thoughts in your head, that feeling of worthlessness, then ask for it, please. I don't want to be touched by suicide anymore. I want it to be something we can move forward from, that we can raise awareness for, and that the stigma stops, and that the conversations aren't quiet anymore, and that people aren't crazy because in a moment they felt so helpless and so worthless that they said, enough, I don't want to live anymore. I'm tired of living like this. It is painful and it is hard and I feel alone. I don't want anyone to feel like that for long, because we're here and we're here to help. There are organizations, there are foundations, there are churches. There are so many options out there to give you help so that you can have peace of mind, so that you can get the medications you need. Please, if you feel this way, reach out to someone. Don't make a permanent decision about a temporary. And everything in this life is temporary. A temporary situation. You have a light. If you are walking this earth, there's a light. And you have no idea how you will be missed and how you've impacted those that you've been around. And you never will, because so many times we wait until they're gone to tell them how important they were to us. We will stand up at their funeral and tell them how they lit up a room and how it's going to be difficult to fathom going to work or going to school or going to church, because now you're not going to see this bright shining face who was smiling through the pain all along and you had no idea, because they didn't know to reach out, because they felt so horribly about themselves. They didn't want to burden anyone else with their mental health. Your mental health is not a burden. Get the help you need. And if you need help figuring that out, I'm right here. I'm right here. And I don't mean that flippantly at all. I mean that to say there are so many of me who have watched loved ones go through this. There are my loved ones. We'll help. We can do the research. There are foundations that have been established because someone did take that final step. My daughter got very, very scarily close to not being on this earth anymore. And it scares me because that light in this world would have been gone. And that's not a joke. That girl, from the time she was born, was so incredibly happy. She was an easy baby. She loved everybody. When she was in elementary school, she never met a stranger. Everybody, and I mean everybody, was her friend. And a lot of that is still true today. Courtney doesn't meet a stranger. Courtney loves people until they hurt her. But it's not just about Courtney. It's about everyone out there struggling with anxiety and depression and PTSD and that impulse to hurt yourself when you are feeling low. Share. Because I would much rather listen to your anxiety and your depression and the thoughts in your head and help you work through it than to stand while someone eulogizes what might have been, what could have been. I appreciate your time and attention. And I just want to say, let's end the stigma. Let's have these difficult conversations. Let's talk about what goes on in our minds, because sometimes that is the scariest place to be. Love and light, folks. And remember, End the stigma. It's okay to ask for help. I love you all. Bye.